Are you a professional pillow fighter? Or a 9-to-5 low-cost time travel agent? Or maybe real estate sales on Mars is your profession? It doesn't matter. Whatever it is you do, however complex or intricate, Monday.com can help you organize, orchestrate, and make it more efficient. Monday.com is the one centralized platform for everything work-related. And with Monday.com, work is just easier. Monday.com, for whatever you run. Go to Monday.com to learn more.
Regen auf mein Kopf. Hinter der Deckelbus ist die kleine Fahrt beim Top. Geht mir kein Sach mit, die Tropfen.
Welcome to Kill Me Now with Judy Gold. I'm Judy Gold, which is why I'm speaking right now, because it's my podcast. And I'm so excited for part 2 of my interview with Jackie Kashian. She is hilarious. This is our last broadcast for this year of 2021. So I hope you enjoy. And I'll say this at the end, but I want to make sure I get it in the beginning. I will be performing on Christmas Day at Stand Up New York in New York City. So sit back, relax, and here we go.
So you go to Wisco. Bill Kinnison has a club there. He's the brother of Sam.
Yep.
You go to a show, you heckle.
Mm-hmm.
You heckle Sam.
I am hammered and I yell. I've never been out
What
in
did you
public.
yell?
He said, I'm from Peoria, and I yelled, I'm so sorry to hear that. And that's how it starts. And then I won't shut up, Judy Gold.
So you're
there's
one
nothing
of
worse.
Right. So you're one of the things in the audience that we hate.
It is an indictment against whenever I am heckled, I'm just like, look who's doing time for the crime here.
Right.
And because eventually the manager comes over and he's like, you have got to shut up. The open mic is on Sundays. And I was like, okay.
What was Sam doing at this point when you're...
He was eating it. He was not doing well.
Okay.
He was actually having a bad set because I think he was coked up and not. It was right before he did Letterman, and he was doing Bill a favor, and so he brought himself, Freddie Asparagus, Carla Bove, and I think it was the three of them,
right?
And they were hanging out, and then he got Bill, all of the guys who were like 30, they had like 30 minutes from the Comedy Store or New York that were willing to travel to Madison, Wisconsin for like a nickel. Supposedly this is the boom, right? But Bill is lowballing everybody. He's keeping them in a rat trap apartment on State Street. And he's got them there for 7 shows. So by the 3rd week that this club of me doing open mics, they're like, we need more comics. And I was, of course, the only woman. And like what you were saying in the introduction, and in retrospect, they were purposefully keeping us separated,
right?
So that they could go, oh, you don't think this is funny? I guess you don't know what funny is,
right?
And I'm gonna make this fisting joke, and you're not gonna laugh,
right?
Why are you such girls? Anyway, and you're just like, so eventually, I would laugh at things that were mediocrely funny. I mean, I like a good fisting joke, but there aren't that many.
Right. There's not many good ones. Yeah.
Yeah. You just gotta keep writing, fellas.
Right.
But yeah, so I started doing stand-up every day because he was like, well, the club's open 7 days. You could have 10 minutes every night until it burned down. Until I got a 1.8 that semester. And then I told my sister, I was like, yeah, I think I'm going to drop out of college and go and just do stand-up because it was like heroin to me. I fell into
that's exactly. I mean,
joy.
Same.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I had self-esteem.
You had control. I mean,
all of it. Yes. Oh
and
my God.
It was like an epiphany. The first time I got on stage, it was like I had an out-of-body experience. Like, what is this? What?
How do I do this
again? First laugh, you're like, oh my God! It's the most incredible thing. But the fact that you're getting on stage people don't understand. The only way to be a great comic is stage time. That's it. You could sit at your computer and write jokes all day long. You can make stupid TikTok videos all day. The only way to be a great stand-up is to get the fuck on stage. And I remember I would write in the corner of my calendar how many sets I did that night, because I was in New York, so I could go from one to another.
Yeah.
And I would write 3, 1, 6, and I'd count how many times I got on stage. And each time, even if it was for 5 minutes, you were getting better. You were dealing,
And Bill said that, he said, you guys are not going to, this is an incredible, you can't put a price on what I'm giving to you people. And I was like, you have actually, it's $10 a week. And
I got 5. We got 5 at Comedy Grand. This is how I met the women comics. See, because you're in the Midwest, right?
Yeah.
So you're in the Midwest, and Comedy U Grand, which was this great place in Soho. I mean, that's where I met everyone. I mean, I remember Ray Romano and Jon Stewart. I mean, everyone from my little group. But on Thursday night, they did, and I did some, when I was writing my book, I was researching this Thursday night show. And the way they advertised it in the papers was Thursday nights, all female comedians. It's like doubling down. Like they couldn't say, yeah.
I just feel dirty.
I know. But it was the one night everyone would go hang out. And we got I'll never forget when I got my $5. That's where I met Henriette. That's Henriette Mantel. I mean.
Oh, Henriette Mantel.
Yes.
It's so great.
Yes. I think I met Lori there. Lori Kilmore. I mean.
Did you ever
Susie
know
Essman.
Did you ever know Vanda Michaels?
Yes.
Vanda Michaels was the first woman comic I met. She came to Madison.
Yes.
She wrote me advice. She had to be like 24 years old. And she was a New York comic, and she wrote me the greatest advice. It's framed in my house.
What does it say?
It's essentially it's to have fun, be original, don't be a hack. And the thing is I ran into her probably 10 years ago here. And because she found me on the internet, she was like, it's on my website, advice I got as a young comic, for people, if they just want to click on that link, it's on the front page. It's under my new album, you guys. It's under that image. Anyway, but the thing is I ran into her again, and she stopped doing stand-up for a couple of years to teach the Dixie Chicks how to do yoga.
Oh my God.
It's a long story, but whatever it was, I brought the frame thing to her because she didn't remember writing it. I brought it to a gig that we did together just to showcase the thing. And she looks at it and she goes, that is my handwriting. I have no memory of writing this. And
wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
It's so interesting because, as I tell people who were fucking assholes, or are fucking assholes to young comedians, whatever you say to these young comedians stays with them forever.
Forever. Whatever.
And because no matter, even if you're a shitty hack, if you are a working comic, that comic is going to listen to what you have to say, because their goal is to be a fucking working comic. And the way they set up the system so that there was only room for one woman, so that we would all be like,
yeah.
That kind of backfired, I think.
It did backfire.
Yeah.
Some of the greatest support I got was from other women comics. Right. And everybody's like, I want to do stand-up comedy. And I'm just like, if you do it, all you have to do is try it. You will know, if not instantaneously. Yeah.
Yes.
If you want to keep doing it.
Right.
You will know that you either want to do it or do not do it instantaneously or within 4 months.
Right.
Because it is a pain in the ass to hang out.
Unlike the karma, it actually, you can find it instantaneously.
Yes,
now,
you can.
So, first of all, you're fucking hilarious. I just want to say, and a lot of people do not make me laugh.
Right.
I watch a lot of comic, and I know where the joke is. I'll be like, oh, that's funny.
I see where,
yeah. Oh, that's clever.
Mm-hmm.
You make me laugh.
That's awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. And I make you laugh? No. Okay.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
So, no, it's fine.
A little reciprocity. Fuck.
Yeah, no. But here's the thing. You call Milwaukee the New York of the Midwest. And you call Minnesota the LA of the Midwest.
I think I say Wisconsin is more like New York and Minnesota is more like LA.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wisconsin is more like New York and yeah, sorry.
In the way that if someone is nice to you, you're nice back. If someone is mean to you, you're mean back.
Right.
In Wisconsin. In Minnesota, if someone is nice to you, they're nice back. If someone is mean to you, you're nice back, but then you hate them.
Right.
And it's like, that's all. Because I love New York. I think I actually love LA too, but whatever.
Yeah, I love both too, but I love New York. Okay. So do you graduate?
Oh, I graduate because I wanted to quit. And Darla is the boss
like,
of me.
no fucking way.
No, it took a village to fucking get you here.
Right.
And you're doing it.
And you're not fucking. So you graduate and you really are one of the people who I didn't like, people are like, oh, what'd you do? I was comic, like this is my job skill.
But I had a day job until 2003.
Right. I had a day job until 90 maybe. I don't know. But yes, we had to work in order to, and there were a lot of comics who were purposely, like not working and just complaining. And I was like, that's your own fucking shit. If you're not going to take care of your life shit.
Yeah.
So that you can do stand-up until you make enough money to do stand-up, then that's your fucking own shit. Okay.
Right.
So there's two things I want to talk about. I want to talk about, this is an intense conversation. First of all, you got sober after your second DUI, right?
Yes. That would be 98.
You're drinking, right. And so here you are, you're doing stand-up, you're drinking, because the culture, you're like, people don't understand this.
It's free.
It's free.
It's boring.
And there are
after the shows.
I remember when you're so fucking lonely.
Yeah.
And as a woman comic, people don't realize some guy, with hair coming out of the ears, the nose, the mouth, and, wearing sweatpants and a fucking soup-stained t-shirt, after they got off stage, they're the hottest fucking thing in the entire world because they're funny. But a woman who's funny, I can't tell you how many nights, even when I was headlining, which is the worst, the guys in front of you want to fucking shoot you.
Destroy you.
Anything to fuck up your set. And after that show, I'm sitting at the bar like, can I get a ride home? And meanwhile, hairy sweatpants, it has like 20 girls all over them. And then we have to go share a fucking condo. Are you writing stuff down because you hate me?
No. I've because I was thinking that I would write down a story tangential.
Okay,
to what you just
good.
said.
I love that. Oh my God, we're so in sync because I do the same thing. So you realize after you stop drinking, your stand-up experience changed. You became a better comic and a more
but it was my greatest fear, right? My greatest fear was that I wouldn't be funny anymore, and that I wouldn't get any work because I wasn't partying with these people.
Right.
And all of those are the basic fears, right? That you have whenever you stop doing something self-destructive. And you're like, but that's what makes me Hemingway. And you're like,
right. That's like when I went on antidepressants, I was like, oh my God, I'm not going to be funny. And it was like, no, I'm still funny, but I don't want to kill myself after the show. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
And I'm not like walking around with a pit in my stomach all day. And I think you're one of the only people I can really talk to about this.
Well, because I think you were grinding it out the same time I was, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And on the road and fucking dealing with this, the misogyny, and as you describe it, it was such a part of the culture.
It was so dumb.
And we were all like, okay, and you're just like me, like, okay, great. That's really fucking funny. You want to fuck this, and I'm a fucking dyke and blah, blah, blah. And you're like, and you just want to get on stage. And your idea in your special, which is fucking great, get this fucking staycation. In the special, you talk about something that's so hot button, and I just love that you address this, that you're like, well, he's a nice enough guy, you know. And that is exactly how it was. It was like, okay, you're going to behave like a fucking asshole woman hater. I'm going to find and like Elliot, I'm going to find the one good thing about you, because I have to deal with you.
Right.
Right. And I'm going to move on with my life. And, these people who are Me Tooing now, God bless them, because you don't, yes.
Stand up. Please do.
Stand up. Please do. Because I didn't. I just was like, go fuck it. I gave it right back to them.
You gave it right back at them. And then you would just go, that's hilarious. Are we going to breakfast at 3 a.m?
Right.
Yeah. So
it's like,
he's like, you could sit on my face. You're like, great. Anyway, in other news.
Oh my God. You know how many, I'm really good at cunning linguists. That's great. I'm a lesbian. I don't want your tongue near my twat. You put them right back in their place,
Yeah, you have to do it. And then when
it was
they
over.
but then when they talk to other men, they're like, oh, she's a ball buster. She's a little like aggro for me. And you're like, why do you think I'm a little aggressive? Because you're such a hunk of junk to hang around with.
Right.
How am I supposed to?
And I got no one else to hang around with. Like,
I don't even have anyone to make eye contact with.
Right.
Like I did some sort of interstitially thing. Mm-hmm. And there was another comic, Beth Stelling was there, Judy. And one of the guys said something gross. And I literally was like, oh my God, I can look at Beth Stelling and we can go, look at that. And we did. And it was the greatest. It was I was like, where was that in 1987 or 1997 or hell? Because those guys are, none of my brothers or my dad are gross, right? My dad he makes terrible life choices. He's not always there's no integrity in sleeping around, right? But he isn't an elbow squeezer or like a creepy dude. Like he doesn't touch people who don't want to be touched. He'll talk people to fucking death. But that is all. So when I would meet these guys, like they'd be like, I remember I'm doing a one-nighter one time and like a better story is the guy you're sitting at the bar and you're like, I need a ride back to the hotel. And they're like, okay, I'll give you. And it's like the club owner.
Please.
And he takes me to like we're in Missouri or something. He takes me down to the river. He's like, hey, I want to show you this thing. And he takes me down to the river with this bridge and is like, well, would you want to have sex? And I'm like, no, I just want to go back and I don't even get shocked or anything. I just go, no, I just want to go back to the condo and fall over in a heap. And he's like, all right. And then so he wants me to blow him in his car. And I'm like, Christ, dude, I just want to go back. I'm just trying to do stand-up. I just want to do stand-up and not have to fend off stupid conversations with dudes who luckily, and the times when I said yes, and then, and this isn't with club owners or bookers or anything, because that would have been dumb, to sleep with club owners and bookers and sound guys. It's not happening, and but it would, but I would get laid on the road, because it was cripplingly lonely, right?
Oh, awful.
And you could only get drunk enough so many times where you're just like, well, that guy looks like something,
right?
And you're like, let's go do a thing. And then if the guy didn't have a condom, I would have to kick him out of my room. And luckily, they all left. Or if I changed my mind and if the guy wouldn't leave, I would have to have sex with a guy who I didn't want to have sex with.
Right. And there's the difference between us and, we're in the situation, which we've been in many times.
Yeah.
And we're like, go fuck yourself.
Go fuck yourself.
And I'm not criticizing these, the next
the younger
generation.
Women? Yeah.
Yes. I'm not saying just in comedy. I'm saying
in life.
This idea of, and yes, it's set up so that when we complain, we're hysterical or whatever, but the not calling it out, the victim part of it, And I just think I guess it's because of how I grew up or that I'm a big woman, you know, where I'm just like, go fuck. I mean, there have been so many horrible instances where I was so uncomfortable, especially being gay. And I didn't I didn't drink. I mean, I'd have a drink every now and then. I mean, I tell this all the time on the show. I brought a suitcase that was a junk drawer full of shit for me to do. Books, my clarinet.
Toddler bag.
Yeah.
Toddler bag. Nice.
I mean, right. I had like a little diaper toddler bag.
You're like anything. Yes.
But I love that, you know, what happened to that? Tough girl.
Well, there's a couple of things. Is that I think that, first of all, we took the bullet often enough and called guys on it at the same time, where you're just like, hey, you're being a dick, and I'm going to be a dick right back at you if you don't stop. And they wouldn't stop. So then they would be all sad sack and go, yeah, she was mean to me. And you're like,
right.
Yes.
Or she's a bitch. She's a bitch.
She's a bitch. What an asshole. What a bitch. And yeah, I think we took the bullet long enough that when newer comics came up, they have each other.
Yeah.
And there were always decent men too. There were always good dudes who I would sometimes who would be like, can I sit next to you? Because I don't want to be by that guy because that guy's gross. And I'm like, please sit next to me. And you know, there's hundreds of guys that I've come up with that are good dudes.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And there was a guy that I did a one-nighter outside of Minneapolis, and it was an hour and a half away. And the guy said, hey, I said, do you want me to drive? Because I was featuring. And he goes, no, but my car is probably better than your car. He showed up. He's like, but I want you to drive. And I was like, what? So I get in the car. His car's worse than mine. It doesn't have any insurance. We're driving. He gets handsy while we're driving. He's drunk on the way there. And so we get there, and I keep having to knock his fucking hand off my leg. We get to the bar, and before the show begins, I call my buddy Larry, Big Tall Larry, we used to call him, another comic. And I was like, hey, Larry, I'm so sorry to ask you this, but I'm trapped here with this guy in his car. Can you come and pick me up? And this guy, I mean, that's predator shit. Like, he planned
right.
so that my hands were 10 and 2 so he could do whatever the fuck he wanted. And so, but Larry drives an hour and a half to pick me up, drives me home. So there's more of that guy than there is of the bad guy. And the fact that we're calling out the bad guys, I don't have a problem with that. I'm not as good at it as the younger comics.
I'm the same. Yes, I'm the same. But I'm psyched
that they're doing it because
I am too. But I don't want them to be victimy about it. I want them to be...
And I don't want them to be mad at me that I didn't do enough.
Right. It was a different period of time.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. You chose to hit play on this podcast today. Smart choice. Make another smart choice with Auto Quote Explorer to compare rates from multiple car insurance companies all at once. Try it at progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
I love that your husband, who you met on an online dating service, and this is before apps, right?
Yeah, it was right. It was just it was the aisle next to the Onion or next to nerve.com or whatever, LA Weekly.
Right.
Yeah.
And you met and you were like, "Oh." And you said you never really had a boyfriend, like a real boyfriend before this, right?
Right.
Like a
big,
I
just got
You just got laid and you were like, "Oh, whatever." And you look at him and you're like, "Oh." I mean, I love the way you describe. Oh, I can do it. And you're good with me.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
And he
game designer,
comic book lover, got you into comic books.
Because my dorkdoms were different than his, right?
Right.
And so he's a video game designer. And though several years ago he did say, I don't want to make video games anymore.
Right.
I want to make board games. And then we looked deeply into each other's eyes and he goes, yes, the lucrative world of board games. And then I, of course, said, I do this for a living. Do whatever the hell you want to do for a living. Yeah.
So you met your soulmate. You got married in your late 30s.
Yeah, 39.
And you were
Yeah.
2006, right? Or
Yep,
2000.
yep.
And that is also, speaking of way ahead of your time, when you started a podcast. Now, this is like the third podcast ever of a comic. That
Early ties, yeah.
And it was like what was it? Like a blog space or something?
It was on Blogspot, blog something. And yeah, the first 200 episodes are on this thing where it's just sort of a conference call that they're recording.
Right.
And then I went to pre-recorded, and so, but it's literally, and those first 3 years, it was me and Joe Wilson, and then Joe realized he was doing most of the work, but I was getting all the credit.
Right.
And he was like, I'm going to go do my own thing. And I was like, good. I am so sorry. I'm so sorry that. And then I realized once he was gone, how much work. This is a classic Jackie Kashian, by the way. I'm like, I do a lot of work. And then the person goes away and you're like, oh, interesting. You were doing a great deal of work. Okay. And the same thing with my manager. Like, I was like, you're not doing, maybe you're not doing enough. And she's like, oh, well, then maybe we should part ways. So then we part ways. And I'm like, oh, she was doing as much as she was. Fair enough. She's great.
You're really close with Maria Bamford.
Yeah, Bamford and I met in 92 when she started doing stand-up, and she had a violin and she shaved her head, and she was driving a Toyota Camry that she had bumper stickers on the doors and the roof. And but we really became friends kind of in the late 90s here, but we were friendly
in LA,
right? In Minneapolis in 92. But in the late 90s, we became more friends. And then we just started, she was like, I don't want to do the road alone. And so I was sort of a OG service animal. And so we would go on the road, and we would just split a hotel room, and she would split some money with me. And I would essentially make feature money and plus air and hotel. And now I make headliner money plus air and hotel, except when she has a sitcom and she decides to do some sort of sharing, like some sort of, she overpaid me so bad for 3 years. And I don't
love
know
her.
There's no better example. I live in Hanoi, by the way, in 1974. Right. I don't know if you can hear that one. And but she's just incredibly, like, she's an incredibly good role model of how to be generous once you've been successful.
I love her.
Yeah.
I love her. She's such a good person. And you know, you and Lori Kilmartin, the Jackie and Lori show, you have a podcast which I love, and I'm a little jealous, I'm going to be honest, where you talk about stand-up comic, and if you ever have a guest or want to sub out, I would love that.
Oh my God. Yes, because we need sub outs. Yeah.
Yes, I'll sub out. And, you know, Lori's another person I have tremendous respect for. Fucking true to her craft, amazing writer.
Just dark and funny and smart.
Right. And you didn't know her.
I didn't know her.
Until you started this fucking podcast.
We had met like a couple of times. She did, much like you and I, she did the Dork Forest with Kathleen Madigan.
Yeah.
Who I had also never met.
Love Kathleen.
Right? And their Dork Forest, by the way, was about the Kennedys, because they're both sad sack Irish lovers.
Right.
And it's hilarious. And but the thing about Lori, so she wants to start a podcast it's been 6 years. So what is it? 21? So 15.
Yeah.
So in 2015, she comes to me and she's like, do you want to do a podcast? I was like, I have a podcast. And she's like, no, you know how there's all these podcasts where middle-aged men talk about stand-up? Let's do that. Except for it'll be us. And I'm like, all right. So she doesn't know that essentially she's starting a friendship. Lori's social skills.
I know.
Oh my God, are hilarious.
Right.
And so we are now 6 years in. We are friends. She didn't know it was going to happen, much like Nancy Kashian didn't know that she was going to love us in the end.
Right. But it's great. And
thanks.
I really want to work with you. We have to do something.
Well, we're doing the Bell House, Lori and I, on January 16th. January 16th, we're We're gonna do a show at the Bell House. Please buy
Wow.
tickets so that we can do another one.
Yeah.
But Lori and I are both gonna do sets and yeah. What we should totally. I'm gonna come and stay in New York for 10 days in January. We should totally
Let's
hang out
do something.
Yeah.
Okay, I would love it. I would love it. Because
I would-
as the listeners know, we don't get to fucking do that.
To meet the comics that you heard about.
Right.
Just like I would see your
And think are
headshot
funny. Yeah.
and know that they're fun. Like I was
Yes.
like, when I met Wendy Liebman, I almost lost my shit.
Right.
I was like, why aren't you on television doing a new 4.5 minutes every day for 365 days?
Right.
She could.
She's fucking brilliant. She's one of my best friends.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she sent me
She's Jewish.
That's right, Wendy Liebman. I'm happy you got sober.
Thanks.
And
so is absolutely everyone.
And that your friend, when you waited 3 months after you got sober, you couldn't go on the road, gave you, this is such a great story, sent you on the road with 21 envelopes, one to open every day. And you opened the envelope every day and it was a name of another great person.
Some artist or,
who became sober.
Yeah. It was amazing that Jane did that. And
thank you, Jane.
Thank you, Jane. She's just, you know what she wants? You know, there's nothing that people who are sober literally are rooting for you. You know, there's nothing else in the world where you're just like, well, I hope you get to stay sober. Like I have an allergy. I don't drink normally. Normal people have a couple of beers, they relax. Right. They might party once or twice a year where they're like, oh my God, I'm so hungry.
Yeah.
But I start drinking. I have no idea how many drinks I'm going to have.
Right.
I know that I'm going to drink until I run out of money, and then I'm going to see if I can borrow $20 from you.
Right.
And I'm going to pass out. I'm going to wake up and go, is there any booze?
And feel like shit. Right.
And feel like shit. And then if I don't deal with it's a twofold disease where I don't know how much I'm going to drink. When I tried to stop drinking after my second DUI, I was like, because I always knew that I drank too much, but I was just like, well, don't be an idiot. And so after my first DUI, I was like, well, I need to stop drinking. And then I couldn't do it.
And you got another one. Yeah.
And I got another one. No one was more surprised than me that I was like, I have willpower. I'm a very strong woman. I am a very strong person.
Yeah.
When I don't want to do something, I don't fucking do it. And watch me not drink. And guess what? That lasted 3 months. And then I was like, and then your brain starts going, well, you've been sober for 3 months. Just don't drink and drive.
Right.
Just have beer. Just drink, don't have shots. Don't be an idiot. And then all of a sudden you're like, all right. And then beers aren't enough.
Right.
And then you're kind of half in the bag and someone goes, well, we're going to go do mushrooms and drink a bunch of booze. And you're like, okay. And like, cause the first thing that also goes is your judgment once you start drinking. And so it took me, I don't do it alone, right? I'm not very good at it. And so I have to literally figure out how to stave off the first drink, right? So if I don't start drinking, won't be no problem. If I don't start nothing, won't be nothing, right? And then my brain starts lying to me and telling me, hey, you could probably just have a glass of wine. You could probably
yes, right. And you'll be fine. Yeah.
Right. All kinds of bullshit. And so what I have to do is I have to be aware that that's triggering in my head. And that's a lie. That is not a truth.
Right.
That I can just have one. Right. So the best thing that getting sober and realizing that my brain's going to lie to me and tell me to start drinking again, the best thing that's happened to me in the last 20 years of me not drinking is that I can't lie about anything. Weird. Right. Because once I lie about anything else, that one lie, the big lie, will fucking barnacle on. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, Drinky Drinkerson is back. And Kilmartin makes fun. She's like, you mean fun, Jackie? Fun, Jackie would be back. And I was like, you say that because you never saw me drive. And
it's funny because you realize now that you were always driving drunk. That you only got caught twice, but you were driving drunk every fucking night.
I had to take, when I did the DUI thing, I had to take an alcohol awareness class that the city gives. And one of the questionnaires was, how often did you drive drunk? And so I was like, well, I would do sets 4 or 5 times a week, and I would get drunk every time. So that's 4 or 5 times a week. And then when I wasn't doing sets, I would just, there's a bar 2 blocks away, but I would drive to it. And so, because I never drank at home alone, like some drunks drink alone at home, though at the end I would do a shot before I went out just to take the edge off. Hey, dummy. Anyway, so so I drunk drive all the time. So we all win that I don't drink.
Yeah, we all win.
This week's episode of It's Judy Show with Judy Gold is sponsored by BetterHelp. And if you know me, which I think you do because you're listening to my podcast right now, you know that I am a big advocate for therapy. I think it benefits everyone. I think there's so many people who need it, who don't partake. It is so important for your emotional health and well-being. Therapy is fantastic. It is in every stretch of the imagination. And if you're thinking of starting therapy, please do it. But please give BetterHelp a try. It is entirely online. It's designed to be convenient. It's flexible. It suits your schedule. You fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. I have switched therapists in my life. I've had many, many therapists, and you know, sometimes it's not a great fit for you, but don't give up. Therapy is beneficial. You can learn about yourself, you can process, and just be emotionally healthy. I'm telling you, do it. BetterHelp is great because, you know, when I used to schlep to my therapist's office, it was so annoying. You have to do it, and you sit there and you wait, and then I'm telling you, doing it online is fantastic. And BetterHelp is amazing. I know a lot of people who've used it. So if you're thinking about therapy, go to BetterHelp.com. Let the gratitude flow. This is Gratitude Month, people. So you need to let the gratitude flow with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/JudyGold, JudyGold, today, and you will get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/JudyGold. You're welcome.
The special is filmed, and it's also an album.
Yep.
It's called Staycation, and check out Jackie's other stuff. I mean, you're so fucking funny.
Thanks.
Check out.
They're all free streaming. Yeah.
Right. And the Dork Forest and Jackie and Lori, but you can't leave yet because I always ask my podcast guests 2 questions.
Okay.
Number 1, we're very pro mental health. I have terrible mental health. I mean, they're not terrible. They make me funny, but miserable. So what do you do for your mental health? Do you take meds? Do you meditate? What do you do? What's your mental health regime?
My mental health regime is a regime. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm an oligarchy.
Yeah.
And what I do is I do a fair amount of like group therapy. I do a fair amount of that. I also, the good things that I do, right, for my mental health are this sort of I talk to people. I bleed it off, man. I bleed off.
Very
because
important.
My brain is, there's a nonstop fucking committee meeting. So
it's so annoying.
It really is. Please, we don't need to read the minutes. And so Jesus. And so so I do that. I do a fair amount of prayer and meditation. Not enough. More just a shout out. More like I do a shout out to whatever God, you know. I don't have a problem with God. Some people have a real problem. It's very funny. I did a clip from the staycation thing, and it was about how irritating the rapture people are. And I have been invited on 2 atheist podcasts, and I was like,
now
I am not an atheist. I'm so sorry. And there's no money in it for me to be an atheist. What do I care? Anyway, so you could be an atheist if you want to. I mean, it just feels like more work. It feels as much work being an atheist as being an evangelical.
Believer. Yeah.
As being some sort of great. Yeah.
I
Anyway,
agree.
so what I do that is not so good for my mental health, but it isn't bad. Like it could be worse, right? Is I tend to reread my favorite books.
You love you love fiction. You love fiction.
I do love fiction, and I tend to reread. I re-listen on Audible, and so
Well, that's comforting.
It's super comforting, and I'm like a toddler. I'll rewatch movies,
right?
Because I like how they end. I know how they end. They always end good. And then less positive lately. Doing a little too much eating, but there you go.
Oh please!
I know.
Fuck it. Fucking.
That's where I'm at.
Okay, and I call the podcast "Kill Me Now" because, as you know, everything annoys me to the point where, like, at a fuck, like I have no normal reaction to any sort of inconvenience.
Judy Gold is on 11. You're on 11.
Yes, I'm on 11 all the time. So I want to know what pisses you off more than anything, and it makes you fucking crazy.
Oh, what currently is driving me up a goddamn banana tree is guys who explain the thing that I just said to me. And you're like, oh, that's mansplaining. And I'm like,
right.
Yeah, women do it too. Anyone who's explaining my own thing back to me, I just want to block you. And then or if I say something snarky about it, then they're like, oh, I guess you didn't get that I was agreeing with you and just expounding on it. I was like, no, I didn't get that.
You know, that's interesting because I live with Elisa, who is a trained therapist, although she has, she doesn't really practice anymore, but nothing is benign. Like sometimes I just want to say something and for the person to go, okay. Right? Or
yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. But no, it has to be some fucking expansion. No, I just say sure. Like just say sure or yes.
Yeah. I live with a literalist, Andy Ashcraft.
Oh God, that's what Lisa is. I'm kidding. No way.
Right, I'm just riffing. I'm just
right,
and he's actually become really very dark and funny, and he's gotten more like hanging out with a comic, and he's
right,
and his stuff is very funny, and it's all mine. Right. Everything everyone says, if you're related to me, it's mine. So the comics, same, right? And then if a comic says it, there will be a pause, and I'll be like, "Can I use that?"
Yes.
And I don't have any problem. Like Carmen Morales, I don't know if you know Carmen Morales. She is a goddamn delight. There is a golden age of young comics coming up here, and they're all women. They're the women that are like 25 to 40 right now.
Yeah, they're doing great.
Blowing my mind with the kind of stand-up that they're writing and performing. And Jenna Friedman's first
Conan,
epic. Anyway, but Carmen Morales said, yes, she is Jewish. Carmen Morales said so she came to the album release party, and I'm working on, and I told 3 new jokes for the people who came for the album because I was going to show clips of the special.
Right.
3 people did Zoom guest sets: Maria Bamford, Guy Branum, and Marilyn Rice-Cub. And
I love all of them. Yes, all been guests on the show. Go ahead.
Oh, good. And then I did 3 brand new jokes just for people who needed something new. And one of those jokes is about how my brother is a fly fisherman, which is just sales, which is just cold calling with a fishing rod. And Carmen Morales wrote the greatest tag in the chat. She was just like, "What do I got to do to get you onto this fly?" And I was like, so you should have Carmen Morales on because she's
okay.
Yeah.
Remember that, Laura. Jackie, I can't wait to see you in January. I'm not kidding. You better fucking.
I will initiate contact for sure.
Okay. Also, tell Darla.
Yes.
I said, hey. I love her.
I want to actually film you saying that. We could do it after, but
okay. And you're a delight. Thank you for being on the show.
Thanks for
And
having me.
I want to work together.
Yeah.
All
let's
these
do it.
fucking guys go on the road together. They each do 25 minutes, and they have a name like dicks who love to, eat, and they go to a bunch of theaters.
And they do theaters, and they take their shirts off, and you're like, you're exhausting me. You're exhausting me.
And
Like,
it's
do you
like,
know
we
Chad
don't do-
Daniels?
No.
You know Chad Daniels? Oh,
No.
Christ on a cracker. Laura, get her to watch Dad Daniels or 12th Night, because he is the greatest. He's one of my favorite comics right now. Let's say it. He's one of my favorite male comics. Is that something?
Wow. Yeah, that's
something
good.
people
That's
should
what
say?
they say to us. Yeah.
Gross.
I'll
But
look him
Chad
up.
would never say that. Chad would never say that. He's a Minneapolis guy. But
Okay.
he's a goddamn delight, and you'll like him because he has kids.
we got to do something because I'm sick of this.
Okay. Okay.
I'm sick of these guys like, we have kids and we hate our wives, like tour. You know?
My God. All right. So here's what, if you do jokes about how much you hate your partner, all I'm thinking is you got to get out of that relationship.
Right.
I am never thinking, oh yeah, this is what's the punchline going to be? Because I don't give a shit. Even if it's the greatest punchline in the world, I'm just like, you're killing me.
Right.
You're just, I mean, because
That's Elliot. That's the Elliot in you.
It's right, because the thing is, my dad, he's I love, ever since I've been in a relationship, I know that I want other people to have this.
Right.
Yeah, and if they don't have it, I can't imagine living in it.
Right.
It'd be horrible.
Right.
So,
and that's why most people are fucking miserable.
And there's absolutely you will be funnier if you are alone, if you are in a terrible relationship. I promise. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Tropfen Regen auf mein Kopf.
Thank you so much for listening to part 2 of Kill Me Now with the one and only Jackie Kashian. Kill Me Now is produced by Laura Vogel. It is edited by Colin Schmaling, and it would not be possible without the help, dedication, and love of Brittany Jo Sowards. Please subscribe to the podcast. Please leave a review. That's only 5 stars. Thank you. This is as I mentioned in the beginning, our last broadcast of the year. Thank you all so much for listening. If you will be in the New York area on Christmas Day, which is not a holiday for me, but it's a holiday for everyone in a way, I will be at Stand Up New York, which is a comedy club on the Upper West Side of Manhattan, on Christmas Day. And I have lots of upcoming dates. So, follow me. Follow me on Twitter at Judy Gold, JEWDYGOLD. On Instagram at Judy Gold, JEWDYGOLD. On TikTok at Judy Gold, JEWDYGOLD. Or go to my website, judygold.com, JUDYGOLD. That's my regular name. And you know what? If you can't figure out a gift for your loved ones for the Christmas holiday, yes, I can say that when they come for the comedians, we're all in trouble, is a great gift. It is a great gift, especially for lovers of comedy. And I wrote it. So that's a great book. It's a gift. It's a book. It's everything. So happy, healthy holidays. Happy New Year. Please stay safe. Please get boosted, vaxxed, get a 10th shot. Do whatever you have to do just so we can get rid of this fucking virus. Let's hope for a good 2022. All right? Thank you. Thank you. I love you. Thank you for a successful year. Thank you for listening. And as we always say, so long.